September, and Sky News began triumphantly trailing a forthcoming showbiz extravaganza.
More than 4 million fans in the UK.
Lady Gaga.
First tour in 28 years.
Mark Bolan.
Glasgow, London, Birmingham.
Status Quo.
The Pope is coming. Live coverage on Sky News HD.
Yes, superb and exhaustive full-colour news coverage depicted the ghost of Ernie Wise futting round the regions in a vertical hearse with the windows up in case a protester threw a condom or a choir boy at him. Look out, he's got one! The Popesicle played several expertly covered stadium gigs, including this one where his support acts were Susan Boyle doing her hit I Dreamed a Dream and Our Lord Jesus Christ. Well, it's nice to see Jesus going down so well. Last time they crucified him. The event was a dream come true for Subo, who'd always wanted to meet an internationally revered messianic embodiment of hope other than Simon Cowell.
What did the Pope say to you?
I just kissed his ring.
Well, I hope you brushed your teeth. September also saw two brothers join together in a desperate struggle for survival, a sort of human Miliband. Action Miliband and My Little Miliband went up against Edney Spheres, Formica Man and the Nutty Professor to win the leadership of the only party not running the country. In a surprise finish, Baby Miliband emerged victorious thanks to the sort of voting process that could confuse the guy who solved Fermat's last theorem. As ITN depicted in revealing scenes, Ed seemed more relieved than pleased to have come first.
Just spend a few moments now watching Ed Miliband's face at the climactic moment.
God, do I have to? In the aftermath, the news seemed more interested in staring at David to see if he'd suddenly hulk out and start smashing stuff up in a fury. But disappointingly, he didn't crack apart from a catty aside.
Turning to Harriet Harman, he appears to ask her angrily, "You voted for it, why are you clapping?"
Which left the news having to explain who this new dweeb was. As ITN showed us, he was a man. A man who'd once been a comedy nerd behind Gordon Brown, but now was like all important and stuff.
The British public don't know you that well. What sort of leader are you going to be?
I will be a leader who, in the first instance, is a responsible leader of the opposition.
It's going to be a boring one. Another contest with a shocking twist took place in Australia as the 400th series of Next Top Model shuddered to a climax in a live spectacular announcing the winner.
It's you, Kelsey.
But even as Kelsey celebrated, it transpired that due to a small technical error, the result was out by a factor of 100%. At the moment the host, Sarah Murdoch, learned the truth in her ear, you could study what happens to the human face when its owner realises it's about to become a YouTube laughingstock.
I don't know what to say right now. I'm feeling a bit sick about this. I don't know what to say.
Yeah, you might as well just say...
This was a complete accident. I'm so sorry. It's Amanda. I'm so sorry. It was fed to me wrong.
Oh, that's right, yeah. Blame the supporting infrastructure that's supposed to feed you information so you can do your job properly. Like that's going to excuse you, you monster. Absurd capitalist squabbling contest, The Apprentice returned again, tossing a fresh phalanx of blue-chip bell ends into each other's faces until they screamed each other to death to win a chance to work in the accounts department of a Walkman factory. Wiping the apeshit off the walls, as usual, was Goblin King Alan Sugar, presiding over proceedings like a grumpy Ferrero Rocher. While the candidates were the usual easy-to-hate bugger tongues.
My first word wasn't mummy, it was money.
Amongst the wannabes this year were Gok Wan, Dolph Lundgren, Tanita Tikaram, a Polish cleaner, John Sargent, a woman with eyes so large she can see through time, and Teddy Edward.
I was made redundant recently, so I need this.
Oh, unemployed head of communications, I see. Well, by those rules, I'm the unemployed king of Spain. Star of the show was arguably Stuart Colostomy Baggs.
People aspire to have a flash sports car, maybe a house in the country. I've got all that already. Where's my glass ceiling? I don't have one. I am Stuart Baggs the brand. I'm confident, I'm unique, and I'm successful.
A man so full of shit he's basically just a bowel with a haircut. As ever, the tasks tested virtually none of the skills anyone would need to sell consumer electronics and seemed chiefly designed to humiliate and divide the candidates, leaving them bickering like drunks trying to assemble a deck chair.
This is a personal attack.
No, it's not. It's about who did guys, listen to yourselves. Listen to yourselves.
This is ridiculous.
I think you've made a decision. We got no sales.
No, excuse me, Paloma. At the beginning of the pitch, this is not why we didn't get any sales.
This is like watching a bunch of bloody amateurs.
I thought that was the premise of the show. Beleaguered reality TV pioneer Big Brother had finally waved a faintly subdued goodbye to the nation this year, but reality hadn't ended completely thanks to this broadcast.
There was this thing on, right, called The Only Way is Essex, but I didn't really get it. It was like real, with real people in it. doing real things, except it wasn't like totally real. And the people in it didn't look real, but sort of like computer simulations of massive arseholes. It was like if Big Brother had been done as an American film, and instead of a script, it just had these people sort of saying, like, absolutely anything.
Hello, honey. What have you been up to? Yeah, I've just been it was like, oh, can you come and see me quick? Yeah. So I went down there, I was swimming for ages, and he's like, come in, you help out at the door.
It was all sort of pink and orange, and then they'd cut to something green just to fool you, and then go back to the pink and orange. I don't know, it did my head in.
This year in Chile, a mine collapsed, leaving 33 miners underground. All hope seemed lost when dogged rescuers began their 8th attempt at drilling a hole to see if any of them had survived in scenes which resembled a colonoscopy of the Earth itself. Actually, it's a bit like the old Doctor Who titles of the grey-green tunnel, complete with the face looming up eerily at the end. Yes, against the odds, all 33 of them had survived and were holed up downstairs in hot claustrophobic conditions which closely resembled 4 AM in a gay nightclub, according to the coverage. But the initial jubilation turned to trepidation when it became apparent the men might not be rescued for up to 4 months, long enough for them to evolve into moles, or worse, turn Welsh. As the relatives eagerly awaited the return of their loved ones, news crews established a media village beside the Hole of Hope. Of course, 33 miners is a lot to remember. So Sky came up with a useful Top Trump-style guide to the men, highlighting their characteristics. So we learned that Mario was a bit of a character, and that one of them had been caught out having an affair.
He has his wife waiting for a few answers, because he's also got a mistress waiting for him as well.
Then in the dead of night, the moment arrived, and the world peered at tense coverage of a hole in the ground, waiting to see if this little girl's daddy would pop out of it. And charmingly, he did.
Cheers and shouts here down at the canteen at Camp Hope. Florencio Avalos, this little girl, crying as she sees for the first time her father in 69 days. Just look at these faces around here.
Oh, that's genuinely lovely. Oh. And then the next miner came out. Well, hey, it was Mario, the character. Actually, this is starting to look like a Big Brother eviction without the booing. And the miners just kept coming. There's the third one. Yeah! Whoa, and the fourth one. Yeah! Here comes the 6th one. And what's he, the 7th? Yeah! No, and another one. Do another one. Oh, stop milking it. In November we got a bit of lovely news as we learnt that Prince William and Kate Middleton had got engaged. Oh. In a break with tradition, the royal prince had married a girl whose dad was a humble millionaire.
They're great fun to be with, and we've had a lot of laughs together.
In heartwarming news coverage, we learned that he's nice and she's nice, and they're a nice couple, and they love each other very much, and everyone thinks it's wonderful. And there'll be lots more blanket coverage of this as we approach the special day, and we'll learn all about the ring and the dress that she's wearing, and we'll probably find out what kind of shampoo she uses. There'll be coverage of the ceremony, and there'll be coverage of reactions to the ceremony. But distracting us from this, some of our nation's favourite elimination festivals were being dominated by spectacular displays from authoritarian women. On sinister synchronised mass population distraction festival Strictly Come Dancing, Anne Widdecombe was this year's John Sargent, albeit a bit less sexy. Highlights included her aerial entrance to the tango, in which she floated across the studio like a feather-light bull. And an arresting sequence which left her dance partner, Tony Beak, looking like a man using a flamboyant industrial floor polisher to buff the dance floor before the proper acts arrived. Meanwhile, on light-hearted jungle torture endurance ordeal I'm a Celebrity, notorious bracken-eating poo watcher Gillian McKeith cemented her place in the nation's hearts by whining, complaining...
Can't do it! There's a spider in front of me, I can't go any further.
And in a shocking scene, apparently fainting on live television.
We'll explain it all, don't worry. We'll explain exactly what's going on, okay? Let's get Bob in.
Oh my God, is there a doctor in the house? I mean, not Gillian, obviously. By the time we got to the end of the year, everything was starting to resemble a kind of greatest hits compilation of everything that had gone before. There were fresh spying allegations, fresh snow, and most exciting of all, fresh coverage of grit.
I'm standing on top of £500,000 worth of grit. You don't even want to know how long it took me to climb up here.
No, I don't. And thanks to harrowing, nightmarish Christmas commercials like this, familiar phrases even made a comeback. Ah, hey, Iceland! For several months after the election, the coalition government had a fairly easy time of it. But the honeymoon couldn't last, partly because this is Britain, proud homeland of moaning, and partly because the government's spending review was making a lot of people feel a bit despairing and irritable, putting them in a kind of bollocks to everything frame of mind. Particularly angry were students, partly because back in the pre-coalition era, Nick Clegg had pledged to scrap tuition fees in earnest online appeals.
To raise the cap on tuition fees is wrong. We will resist, vote against, campaign against any lifting of that cap.
And in informative, considered interviews.
I really think tuition fees are wrong. I think it is wrong to saddle young people with 25,000 quid of debt before they've even taken a first step in adult life.
And he promised not to renege on promises in persuasive political broadcasts.
I believe it's time to do things differently. I believe it's time for fairness in Britain. I believe it's time for promises to be kept.
But once in power, he realised that not all promises could be kept, and it's fair to say many students weren't too impressed. Come November, a student demo over education cuts started out shouty and then went a bit Oliver Reed as it marched past Millbank, which symbolised the Death Star to this ragtag rebel alliance. Just like Luke Skywalker, they valiantly kicked 10 shades of glass shit out of a window before bravely jumping back when it almost fell on them. Which is probably what Han Solo would have done. They also nicked a stormtrooper's helmet and danced around in hoods like the Ewoks at the end of Return of the Jedi. At times the coverage looked like an Ibiza foam party, and at others like something out of Mad Max. Anyway, things had got distinctly unfunny by the time someone decided to lob a fire extinguisher off the roof. Inevitably, come the nighttime bulletins, the coverage was dominated by violence, so although the focused anger of the main demonstration was mentioned, it was vastly overshadowed by hot ruck action.
It started with this and ended with this.
And this was just ITV. The BBC's coverage was even more shocking.
The violence has gone a bit too far, but...
You know, actually, I think that's the first time the BBC's flagship news bulletin has broadcast an interview with somebody with the word fuck written on their face. Anyway, a few weeks later, it all kicked off again. This time, angry protesters picked a fight with a dumb, terrified machine. Still, it looked pretty nasty in the midst of the scrum. So nasty, in fact, that only a man as big and tough as Nick Robinson could possibly survive in there. Inside the kettled-in crowd, he discovered two girls so desperate to escape that one had disguised herself as someone from 1983 and the other as a cat. Are you trapped here?
Yeah, we're not allowed out.
He also made friends with some cheery college scarf-wearing types.
Why are you covering your face?
Because the police are watching us for no reason, man.
Yeah, it's not like you got weapons.
What's that you're carrying in your hand? It's a Ras Clark weapon.
Oh, right, yes, an authentic Ras Clark weapon, as traditionally used by the Ras Clark noblemen of King Bumba Clark's court. Nice to see a student who's done their historical research. Come the day of the crucial vote itself, it all kicked off again with further ugly scenes in Parliament Square, although at least Father Christmas showed up.
Now, Father Christmas there, somewhere in the middle, raising his arms up there.
Hello, Father Christmas. Once again, the police kettled the protesters into a confined area for ages. Meanwhile, the cameras were drawn towards outbreaks of vandalism, with the magnetic fixation of a squaddy's eyes being drawn towards porn. Police tactics were questioned, but what really exercised the media were the vivid scenes as a group of protesters got near the Royals, culminating in this chaotic, startling, endlessly repeated Facebook snap of the year. All of which meant that while allegations swelled about protesters being dragged from wheelchairs or struck with truncheons, the media was far more interested debating whether or not the Duchess of Cornwall had been nudged with a stick.
Are you in a position to confirm that she was actually poked with a stick?
Well, I think I understand. I'm not sure about the term poked with a stick. I understand there was some contact made.
All in all, it was a delightfully festive end to a wonderful year. Anyway, that was 2010. People who enjoyed this year might also enjoy 2011, coming soon to a reality near you. Now get out!
Rapper Tinchy Stryder is the first to get the short end of the comedy stick on Nevermind the Buzzcocks next. Then, live on a lighthouse. We're going round the twist with the goodies at 11:30.